Welcome to the We Leaders podcast, where leaders share how to leave a legacy that makes history. I'm your host, Alana Fulvio. As a 13-time world record-holding skydiver and Olympic development athlete, psychic intuitive, and former Silicon Valley in-house talent advisor for some of the most legendary leaders and successful companies in history, there is a new bar being set for leadership. They're called We Leaders. What this means for you on this show, We Leaders will show up for you and bring their unapologetic truth, most successful strategies and mindsets so you can level up. We share from our shoes so you can walk in them. Here, the only rules are authenticity, respect, and being in service of every human having the lives they want. Join the movement. Welcome to the We Leaders podcast. Now let's go make history. I am so excited to have my friend today, Aj Joshi. He's a very new friend of mine, actually, but brilliant human. He's out there in the UK right now, but he's a global leader. You're going to want to watch this entire thing because his story, his journey of how he's created repeatable profitability, not just financially, but also in his life, personally for others, is really different than most people. So you're going to want to listen until the end. He's a tech entrepreneur, started out at 16 in the young age of teenage years. So he's been a budding visionary since then. Music industry, CEO at Ikaroa, right? Is that how you say it? Yes, sorry. like I said, people just mispronounce my name. I do that. So he'll say it right when he talks about it as well. Yeah. He also is taking over the fitness industry, and he's just one of those humans that can recreate his life and create prosperity and abundance and profitability in his life with wherever he goes. And I think it'd be really interesting for him to share, from 16 or wherever you want to start, how do you keep creating that? And where do you come from with that? And share some of those successes and share some of those trips and falls, because we've all had those.
How do you create new ideas and inspiration? Wow. It started that.
no pressure, AJ.
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you so much for such an incredible intro, and I'm looking forward to this. I have been looking forward to this. Where do I start? How do you create ideas? I'm going to try and keep this brief. When you have no other options, ideas come.
Okay.
When you have no other options, ideas come. I grew up in a position where it was a case of create something or carry on the same path that has already been set. And I didn't want to do that. So, I started a book. It was a red book I had when I was about 14, 15 years old, and I would write down any ideas that come to my mind. And this might sound a bit strange, and I don't often share this, but I share it with you. 95% of ideas that I've had have come to me in my sleep. So I'll be thinking about something, and I'll be hatching out, a path to potentially try and make it work. And I'll sleep on it, and I'll almost, dream a way through, find the end state, find where I want it to be, find where I see success, and that doesn't necessarily mean monetary success in some cases. And then reverse engineer that back and say, okay, for me to get here, I need to do this. And I work out all those milestones, work it out into micro milestones, and then come way back to the beginning. And then I've mapped it out in my mind. And then I commence if I think it's worth it. If I think it's, by looking at the end state, I work out, okay, is that where I want it to be? Or is that not quite, am I not quite there in my life? Like I have so many ideas that I've actually put off to later in life as well, because they're just not where I want to be right now. I want to be able to dedicate time and effort to those. So I put those off later on in life.
Do you, in terms of that, by the way, I dream a lot of mine as well. And I have so many things written down on my phone, on scraps of paper. I have a wall that I've created. I just write things down. And I've also put things off because it's not the right time to. How do you, well, one, before I get to the how do you decide, one brilliant thing that you mentioned was reverse engineering the process, which I think a lot of people in general, whether it be you're building a business, businesses, et cetera, or in life in general, we push the boulder up the hill. And we think of, okay, we're going to get there and we're just going to push it up. And I think, can you talk to that a moment just in terms of reverse engineering? Because I think a lot of people do the push forward versus the, all right, what do I want in the end? What do I want that, like you said, not just the monetary, what do I want to feel like, and whatever that's for you, and then reverse engineering. So what is the end? What do you ask yourself in the end? Like, what does it look like?
Wow. In some cases, it is just a case of how big it is or how much impact it creates. Or in other cases, if I'm looking at pure profitability, it will literally be a case of looking at the margins, understanding the market size, understanding how I can potentially target that market, looking at the niche, looking at how many competitors there are in that niche, really, really analyzing that whole demographic. And then working out my margins. Now, margins are, a key indicator whether something may work or not. There are many businesses out there that actually make a huge amount of revenue, but when you look at their bottom line, it's not great. So depending on the goal, if it's profitability, I'll take many factors into account, many parameters. If it's and I'm bringing profitability into it, hence the title of this.
Of course.
I work out the end state. If it's a place where I really want to be, then I kind of take that a back step. But I almost visualize everything, like how many teams is it going to need, where the strengths need to be, where the focus needs to be. Through previous experience that I've had, I understand that there'll be a lack in focus in month 6 or month 12 in certain areas. Naturally, and most of the inspiration comes at the front end of the business when you first commence. And then you fall into day-to-day routines and tasks and things that really take up time. And people tend to spend less time on developing new ideas and developing new routes to market and developing new partnerships, and actually end up in the mundane tasks. So I kind of foresee that as well, and make sure I structure the day according to, strategize and structure the day. This part of the day, I'm going to focus purely on building the business. This part of the day, I'm going to focus purely on a specific task. And then the actual routine stuff will be a smaller portion of the day. So I work this whole thing out, reverse engineer it backwards, and work out, what does this look like for me? And the most important component here, without getting too deep at the moment, is time. So, time is something we cannot buy, we cannot get back, everything that goes with time. So it's based on life goals, and it's based on age, and it's based on lots and lots of factors. When you're young in life, take more risks, you're happy, you're more, you're more adverse to spending more time on something. As you go through in life, you tend to think about time more. Is my time worth this? Is my time investment, do I really want to spend the next 3 years doing this? So these are the things, these are all the factors that come into play.
Right, because I also heard you say, at the end, the monetary aspect comes in, but you didn't say it specifically, but I heard you say it was, you also chose what you want to do. From what I've heard from you and your background, and also researched on you as well, is very much, I would insert, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that you do look at the monetary aspect, but you go for what your passion is. Like you said, you can't get time back, and you have this one life that we know right now that we're experiencing as ourselves. So at that end state of, working backwards is the monetary aspect and whatnot, but also, is this what I really want to be doing? And you tell your story too, because we can't get through this without you telling all the different things that you've done, because honestly, I haven't met many humans that can go through so many different industries and do so many different things and succeed, but not just do it. Like, you really succeed in it is admirable. And I think it's great to hear how you did that over and over again.
Yeah. Okay. So, tell you the story. Where do I start with that?
16?
Do you edit this afterwards, by the way?
I can.
You're going to have to. I'm sorry. I need to go and get my laptop charger.
Do you, okay. Okay.
We started at 100%, and I didn't realize Zoom actually consumes so much power.
Oh.
I'm already on 38%. So
I
can't understand what happened there. But,
do you have a dog with you or a cat?
No.
Okay.
I have a cat, but the cat's not here.
Oh, okay. Just wondering.
Did you want the cat to show up?
I mean, well, it's funny because I saw you sit like this and then your arm went like this, and I went, oh, it could be because I do that with my cats. I'm like, don't jump up, and I just kind of go like this sometimes.
Oh, no. Somebody entered the room, and I was just telling you this. Close the door.
Okay. Got it. So yes, I will edit it.
Okay, great. So, okay, the story. Where do I start? Do you want the long version, or do you want the...
Well, we have, let's say, a total of 15 minutes. So...
Okay, I'll keep it short.
I mean, that's why I said, like, how do I intro you and have you tell a story in the 20 minutes because again, your life is ridiculous.
Yeah, okay.
So anyway, tell you.
Okay, the story. I started life out in a single parent family as the only child. My mother brought me up, and it was a really abusive household, unfortunately. So I got to experience that, that I was kind of in that world for the first 3 years of my life. And then my mum ran out the house with me, and, we kind of couch surfed for a bit and slowly started to find our feet. And then there were some other adversities in between that I'll skip for now. But those adversities were quite tough. And they're not just financial stuff. And then, around about 13, 14, 15 years old, had a bit of a rough childhood, was growing up on an estate project, or whatever you want to call it in the US. We call it estate. And went through a phase where school life and the whole education was not my highest priority. My highest priority was making a buck, figuring out some stuff, and getting through that way. And it probably wasn't the right route, but I did end up going to college. I didn't pass any exams at school, but I
you did not pass?
Not a single exam, not one. I got one C in science. You have to get an A to C in this country to pass. I got one C in science and no other A to C in any subject. But a lot of the exams I didn't even sit because it was just a really tough time in my life for one reason or another. And then I went to college. I did a business course. And I decided to get into business while I was at college. So, I started to sell some phones and get some phone contracts, and I created a small phone company, and started to sell phone accessories, and didn't pass college, long story short, because as you do, somehow I got into university. Now, you've got to remember, you have to have a pass grade to get into college. You have to have a pass grade to get into university. I didn't get the pass grades, but I got into university. I applied and I got in, God knows how. So I did go to uni, but I only did 1 year of my 3-year degree. By that time, I was getting really involved into this phone company. Yeah? And I had a small store, small shop, 300-400 square feet shop. And a music artist walked in one day, and he said to me, you got to listen out for me. I'm going on a radio station. I'm going to be performing my next track and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. I got to do that. And when he was on the station, I tried to tune in, and I couldn't pick it up. So I thought, wow, there's got to be a solution to this. And then when he came in the following week, he said, "Did you catch me on the radio?" I was like, "No, I didn't pick you up." He said, "Oh, okay, it must be because that's in South London and we're in West London." And I was like, "No, there's got to be a way of doing this." Yeah. So I spent the next 2 weeks, bearing in mind I was never in tech prior to this, but I was so passionate about this. I spent the next 2 weeks researching about how to broadcast music online from one point to another and then take it to a public domain. I managed to code a player, like an online player. And that night we ran some tests. I went to the local kebab shop, which is like a burger bar. Yeah. And I got some oil cans and I put a piece of wood on top and a piece of cloth, and that became our new station. And we put some decks on top and a mixer, and we created like a radio station in the phone shop. Yeah, and we had like 9 listeners, and we thought, wow, this has got some major potential. I fast forward 6 months and became one of the largest radio stations in the UK. Yeah. We won a People's Choice
How many
Award.
months? 6 months? 9 months?
6 months to a year. Yeah. Wow. Everything was pretty good. Things were growing really, really quickly. Managed to get some incredible talent on the station. Started to get a really good ear for music, understanding what's working, what's not working. And then just progressed into an online record store, an online record company eventually, where we would sign albums and where we would essentially work with music artists to help advance their career. Wow. Yeah. And that, we did about 115 odd albums with some incredible music artists. Some of those are massive superstars today. Massive superstars. Some of the world's top artists. Wow. Yeah, so very, very proud of that whole segment of my career. I've given you the sugar-coated version. For sure, yeah. The long version will come out in the future. Yeah. We'll have that as well, so stay tuned. But that's it, that's a sugar-coated version. But tons of hard work that went into that. Yeah. 14, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week to build back to what it was. Well, I mean, and you've done things since then, but what I hear, for instance, is, well, when you're a visionary, you're a creator, you look to see, like you're kind of like me, you see something that's not working, it confuses you. It's like, why, like, we should be able to put the dots together. And I think a lot of people would just say, oh, I just couldn't hear the song and let it go. You, on the other hand, were so curious, I think, and whether it be curiosity or frustration or your mind to be able to put pieces together, because you went from having the telephone store to then creating the radio station to then becoming, to being an agent, I guess, is that what you call it, to these, right? Mm-hmm. And it grew from this one person walking in your door and you listening to this person and seeking to solve a problem in the world. And then you just created it from that. You just kept going. And you followed your passion. You didn't negotiate. It does sound like you negotiated on it. You went for it. There were probably people around you that were like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? And most people thought that you were, doing something great and innovating. Yeah, yeah. 95% of people thought I was crazy.
I hear that.
Because,
I hear that.
you know, online streaming didn't really exist back then. This is,
Yeah.
you know, we're
Yeah.
talking 5 years before YouTube was founded. So, you know, this is really, really innovative. It didn't
Yeah.
really exist.
Yeah.
And we were actually streaming video and audio 5 years before YouTube was founded. So you know, it was very, very, very ahead of its time.
How did you maintain that? Because I know I experienced that being an innovator in my space, and I have a lot of people saying, "Oh, just go back to this," or that you can't do that. And I see it, you know, I see it, I know it, I feel it, so I keep going. But what did you do in that space? Because there's probably a lot of people out there that, I mean, everyone has their passion, everyone has some kind of vision. No one's the same, but not everyone pushes through. People will listen to the shoulds. People will listen to the, you know, stay in your box, stay your lane. I mean,
Yeah, you know, do you remember the ideas book I told you about at the start?
yeah.
So, you know, as I went through the ideas book, about 50% of those were done by someone else. And, you know, as time progressed, I realized that I have to execute. I have to try and get myself in a position where I execute. I can't have these excuses in my life that I don't have the investment, I don't have the contacts, I don't have this, I don't have that. I have to somehow find a way to execute that situation. I mean, my circle of friends were, you know, from a council estate. I didn't have private school friends, or I didn't have, you know, a circle of friends or advisors or investment that I can go to and call upon. Everything was a case of just get it done or don't.
Right.
And just carry on.
Right.
So, yeah, it was the only option.
Well, and I think, and in that space too, is you probably, if you didn't do it, I mean, I call it like your soul dying slowly. You know, if you don't live your passion, if you don't do what you want to do, you'll know the impact. You'll feel the impact.
You know, that's another thing that crossed my mind so much. I knew that I had probably 1 year of enough freedom to try something. And I don't necessarily mean financial freedom, because it wasn't there. I was just about surviving at that time in my life. Although you never tell the world that. The world thinks it's great.
Oh, yeah.
But I knew I had 1 year. And after that year, I would have to go and work in a job for the rest of my life, because I just couldn't sustain it.
Yeah.
Prior to that, there's a story that I skipped, but I had a really bad experience with one of my first bosses in life, who, you know, just spurred me on and made me well up with tears for about 2 hours and tell myself I never want to get into a job. I never want to be where somebody else owns my time. I never want to be in that position again. And, you know, his name was Bob, and he indirectly changed my whole course in life. You know, and made me always wanted to work for myself.
Yeah.
That was back when I was 17 years old.
So ever since then, you've been dedicated to work for yourself, your own passions, your own visions, regardless of what it takes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Share more. What's happened since the radio, since the agent, since all? I mean, because it's not like your life has stopped there. You keep going. You keep repeating success in your own like life and profitability.
So after around 2007, 2008, the iPod was getting introduced, and I decided not to continue in physical music. And also, I made my reasons for doing that whole radio station was to actually help a bunch of friends. And I consider them friends after I met them, music artists, but help a bunch of friends gain success in the industry and help put UK music on a world stage. And I kind of felt like my job was done to a certain point. And an important factor is that I never took over anybody's publishing. I never got them into a 360 record deal. I never, ever put them in a position where they were unable to be creative in their own art. And so for me, it was a case of, hey, guys, we've built an incredible legacy here. We've made some incredible albums. You guys, like, you know, I really want you guys to just, I had it in my own mind. It wasn't a conversation we had, but I wanted them to just go out and do their own thing and remain independent and fight for that independence within the music industry. But as I went through some time of reflection, I thought, wow, I'm a music entrepreneur. And then I thought, and then I started to realize, actually, I'm not a music entrepreneur. I am somebody that has applied tech to the music world.
Oh, interesting.
You know, when I look back at the radio station, it was the tech element, the streaming element that made that station unique and disrupted that radio space. When I formed the record company, it was the online e-commerce store, the ability to go direct to the manufacturer and sell direct to the consumer and cut out all the middlemen that allowed us to cut the RRP of the entire industry, undercut every other competitor in the industry, and still make the most margins in that industry. Wow. So, you know, we were selling, at one stage within our genre, we were selling more music than our largest competitors, our HMV, within that space. So, you know, I realized that I'm in tech, and tech is my fine line focus. And as long as I can apply tech to something and disrupt the industry and find ways of creating, bridging the gap between the supplier and the consumer, that would be where I focus. So I did that after that. And there's a string of things that I did in between. But here I am today.
Can you talk about some of those?
Yes. The string of things in between, or where I am now.
The string of things and where you are now.
You know,
what you've created, because you just keep creating.
Yeah, I did a bunch of random stuff. I met a makeup artist who used to do brides, and I said, you know, wouldn't it be amazing if we did some makeup tutorials and used YouTube and created a whole tech disruption within this industry? So we decided to come together and create some makeup palettes together. This is 5-6 years before Jeffree Stars of this world and all the other guys, and this is 2008. 2009. So, you know, we did that very successfully, flew out to Hong Kong many times, went to all the factories, all of that. You know, I don't wear makeup, but I got into it, and I had a great fun, and so, you know, applied that type of formula to many different businesses, and that formula works for me. So back when I started the radio station, I thought to myself, I want to create businesses where I can create positive impact in the world. I want to create businesses where I can help change lives. I want to create businesses because that actually inspires me more than anything. That drives me more than anything. If you put a Ferrari or, you know, and a yacht, it doesn't give me that burning desire. What gave me the burning desire in my music industry days was helping change the lives of these musicians, helping get these guys off the road and into being able, because these guys, they didn't have money to produce mixtapes. They didn't have money to get into a recording studio. So for me, it was about plowing that investment back into that industry. And that, for me, was everything. So I thought, how do I formalize this in my mind? Is this a formula, or what is this? So I wrote down 10 things, which I've kept to this day and haven't put public. But I wrote down 10 things of what these are the boxes that things have to tick for me.
And
that is my formula.
For you to say yes to something?
100%. And part of those 10 things is boxes that my partners or my co-workers tick. And if they don't fall within those prerequisites for me, then it's the right type of person I want to work with. And I call at the top, I call it the secret network.
Of people or your boxes?
Of people.
Okay.
And it's essentially a collection of people working towards a similar goal, but that follow a set level of code, of ethics, morals, integrity.
Yeah.
They put certain things before money, but money's definitely there on the goal
Yeah.
list, but integrity comes before that.
Yeah.
We don't want to be doing things that harm people. We don't want to get into tobacco or, certain pharmaceuticals or blah,
Right.
blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But we call it the secret network, and that's where TSN comes in. And so TSN was formed way back then, back in the year 21 years ago. And that's the same formula I use today.
Beautiful.
In everything
Beautiful.
we do. Yeah.
It's interesting because one of the biggest reasons why I had you on, your life is interesting, and two, I knew that within what you see online, you had to have the ability or the desire or just the way of being to be human-centric. People cannot create, it doesn't, profitability, put aside financial, you cannot create anything in this life alone. You just don't. Someone created my pillowcase that I sleep on. Someone created this computer that I get to talk to you on, right? And so I knew that within your journey, like you said, you create this secret network, and you don't have to try to pull them towards you. They're there because the value base is the same. And you've also done which I think is really important, is your due diligence on who you let in your life, not just in your business life, because it doesn't matter, business or it's the same. It will impact you, hands down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. It's very, very, very important to me who's in my life and who's involved in the businesses that we have.
Yeah.
And what type of impact that creates within society itself.
Yeah. I'd love for you to share this, because I'm the exact same way. I hold very close to people that are true to my truth, the integrity and the ethics and the morals and the humans first. And there are a lot of businesses out there. I'm not going to name any names, but there's lots of businesses out there and lots of leaders that put only themselves first, and then think of everyone else as just people that work for them, or just not partners, but just other people. Or there's people out there who are thinking of growing their businesses, and you've been successful over and over again, and you haven't done it alone. There's no way. Those artists were your partners. Anyone who worked with you were your partners. Your friends are your partners. You actually talk on your website about family, and your family are your partners. And so besides the choice, right, of your ethics, how do you, what could you say to people as the leaders, how to treat the people around them? Like, what to look for? Like, how do you, like, when something happens in the world or in your life that something goes wrong, how do you know that you can stand there and people are going to still be standing there next to you? Because there's two types of people.
Absolutely. The first thing is, for me, I understand that companies need hierarchy, and I understand that you have to have a certain level of accountability. However, for me, we operate this type of structure. They don't operate this type of structure. And we treat people, and I expect everybody to treat everybody with just as much as respect as your superiors. And secondly, there's probably, and I say this with confidence, not with arrogance, there's probably very, very few jobs in the company that I couldn't do myself. So I'm very, very, very hands-on. So I'll get to understand something, I'm the type of person that gets to learn it and understands the frictions and the frustrations that particular task may have. And so I don't look down upon my team and say, you need to get this done in 2 hours and blah, 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 blah. Because I understand that may take a bit longer. They need some creative space. They may need this. And just giving you a random example.
Right.
And so that creates harmony within a working team.
Yeah.
And it creates respect for each other.
Yeah.
Respect that they can't pull the wool over my eyes, but also respect that I'm not going to put a whip on their back and make them, do something.
Right.
But at the same token, if I understand that something can be done in X amount of time and it's still not done, then obviously we can have that conversation and work out what's going on,
Yeah.
what's going wrong, why you're underperforming or what have you. But, to answer your question, yeah, mutual respect within your teams. Doesn't matter which hierarchy you sit in.
Yeah.
And also treat your teams almost like your family. It hurts when someone lets you down. It hurts when someone takes advantage of that. And it has happened to me more than once, more than twice. But don't change. Don't change. Have a good humanized approach. If you've been cheated on by a partner, you can't look at the new person and say you're a cheater because of what I experienced before.
Right.
You've just got to, you've got to take everyone on their own merit and have an open book and have a certain level of trust, respect, and hope that you get that in return. But for me, again, with this whole secret network thing, I have this conversation with people when you first join the team. I'll say, look, here's what here's what we give, and here's what we need in return. Mm-hmm. This is what we stand by. This is how we operate. If you're, if this is you, then let's continue talking. If it's not, it might be slightly unconventional. But if it's not you, then let's not talk.
Right.
And another thing on the point, just to add, there are some times we've taken somebody in the team that are not actually qualified fully to do the job. And so, we may have taken somebody on that doesn't quite know Photoshop, for instance, as an example, in Ikaroa. But we've taken that person on and actually gone through the efforts of teaching that person how to use Photoshop, how to execute it, how to become an incredible designer, push them to the levels and new levels and new levels and new levels until they become the best in their niche. And they can then operate operate an incredible, work with incredible projects. But the reason that whole process started is because of their story. They were in a similar position to me. They may not have had the advantages of having, X amount of degrees and educations and what have you, but they may be fantastic as a human, great human. And for me, that can't be bought. The education part or the learning part can be done.
Yeah.
But if somebody is fully learned and educated and doesn't have that human approach, that doesn't fit well in the team.
Right.
As long as that person has the right attitude, everything else we can work with.
Yeah. I think that's big too, because I think a lot of people look at, well, one, what can you do for me in life, which I think is kind of crazy. I have in my brain this nonprofit foundation that I want to, it's called Give to Give. Just give to give, and you'll know who you resonate with, right? Yep. And like you said, you actually answered the question. I was going to say this. Let's say this guy is a man in Nicaragua, guy. He may not have known Photoshop, but he had the values that you possessed, and you saw in him. You didn't have to teach him that integrity. You didn't have to teach him all that. Most likely, you just had to teach him the skills that you saw possible within him. But like you said, I agree with that. And that's one reason why I also wanted you on here too, because you are a very strong stance for that. And I'm a very strong stance for that as well, is that in the world, if you do feel that same way where you are an integrity, you're gonna have naysayers. You're gonna have people that challenge you and throw you under the bus and whatnot. Just stay your truth, like you said. And also build those people around you. Very, very selective. I think it's perfect that you're selective, because you're only going to be as great as the people around you.
No one is self-made. I don't care what you say or what anybody says. No one is self-made.
No.
There was somebody there to help you along. There was team members there. Everybody plays a part in helping make an entity grow or make a person grow. There's always people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was just having a moment with you right now in terms of my gratitude for our connection, and also even through this sharing right now is the things that I've resonated with, and I've actually already taken into I haven't thought about it because I've wanted to be present with it, but I've already taken in and said, okay, where can I look in my life, where I can do this or do that. And then I thought about, we don't do it alone. Even when I go to the store, I look at the checker and I say, thank you. And thanks for, help. Thanks for allowing me to buy this, or whomever, have gratitude. And I think the greatest profitable leaders, the ones with the most money don't necessarily have the profitability. They might have the money, but ask them if they're truly happy and if people are around them there when they need them, and that truly resonate with them. And the majority don't, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you mentioned something, you have gratitude even for the cashier. In the same token, I learn things from everybody. You got to be open ears, and when you're traveling and somebody has an idea or somebody's having a conversation with you, or I think that is incredibly important. Egotistical and arrogance will destroy your talent. If you've got any form of talent inside you and any form of leadership, and you have any ego or arrogance within you, it will absolutely destroy it, and it will cause problems for you long term.
Yeah.
I think it's very important to be susceptible and all ears to as many people around you as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't know. I've loved to play what I call the stranger game. Well, I play it every day anyway because I love meeting strangers. But I'll walk out and I'll just smile at someone and say hi. And even if it's just a smile, I learned something in that moment, right? That they smiled back. Who would have thought? Or like you said, and I think there is ego. Ego can kill your own creativity as a leader, and you're not a leader if you live in ego. You're just not. You might think you are, but you're not. And your ego will not only kill your creativity and your prosperity, but it will kill everyone else's around you. And so like this will start to crumble, instead of it being like this will start to crumble. So.
And a true leader gives opportunities to other people as well. That's the other thing. You want to he won't mind me mentioning, but there's another chap in Ikaroa who used to be a DJ and just lived a normal life. And one day he woke up and he couldn't move. He couldn't move anything. He was blinking to communicate. And he went into a hospital, and he went through several years of positive mental attitude and how to overcome this situation. And he slowly regained some use of his upper body. And he is a fantastic designer and artist. He took up graphic design.
Wow.
He has to work from home because he doesn't have other options necessarily. And we worked together for several years. He was a friend before and is a friend now. But it's important to have those opportunities in place. And now he's become a graphic designer. He's another chap. It wasn't the first chap I was talking about.
This is the second one.
Yeah, he's a chap, one of many. Everyone has a story.
Yeah, and I think one thing you mentioned prior to, and this one is, you have a dream that you're creating, but it involves others. And instead of forcing him into, you have to come into an office every day because that's what we do.
Yeah.
You looked at his life and said, I get emotional about stuff like this, but you looked in his life and said, how can I help him thrive? How can I help him live the life that he wants and be fulfilled? And we get what we want on the business side, but we do this together, and you created the world. I think a lot of companies try to shove their employees into, or people try to shove the people around them into this box. And, if you just looked at someone and said, what do you need?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I think is brilliant.
Yeah, you got to have that empathy. You got to take it from the other person's approach. And I guess it depends where you come from. I don't believe in this whole ruthless boss and ruthless this, and you can only be successful if you are, the dirtiest dog in the game. I don't believe in that, actually. I would rather not have the success if that's what it took. I don't want to be remembered for that, We have a limited time here, and the only thing that's going to be left when we're long gone is the memories that people have of us and the impact that we created in their lives. And is that going to be a good memory or a bad memory? They won't remember the gifts or this or that. They'll just remember how you made them feel.
Yeah.
And what do you want in life? For me, it's not that. For me, I hope that I just want to create impact on both sides of the coin.
Yeah. And and again, that's why I did this, was in service of the world, of anyone who's watching, right? It, like, regardless, like AJ and I don't care whether or not you have a big budding business and you're $1 billion, billionaire, or you have no money, but you believe in something. Like, you can do what you want. Just believe in yourself. We believe in you. And, be kind to yourself, be good to yourself, stay true to yourself and that of others. Because, I love how you built your world, not just from where you've come from. And that was why I wanted you to share your story, because it's the real aspect. It's not how much money have you made, AJ, how much, profitability. That's all great. But every one of these guests, it's about how their life is lived and how the lives of the people around them are lived and how committed they are to that versus just focused on money. And trust me, I've worked for numerous bosses here in the Silicon Valley specifically, who are the ruthless ones that focus on me, and money. And for me, it doesn't work, which is why I wanted to bring this group together too and say, there's a lot of success, not just financially, but personally, to be had in putting humans first, putting self first, for being unapologetically yourself, right? In the space of being kind and decent and love and fear. I get cracked all the time because people say, "Oh, you're fierce love." I'm like, yes. Well, what other kind of love is there to be? I just think it's great. Will you share the company that you founded, that you showed me a piece of earlier?
Yeah, for sure. So there's 3 projects I'm fully focused on at the moment. One is Ikaroa, it takes up a good portion of my time. Fit.live is taking up most of my time at the moment because we're rapidly building that. And a passion project of mine is this. This company is called Zesso, and we essentially make fashion accessories from fallen leaves. And this again was a journey for me. I was traveling through, I love to travel. So I was traveling through Asia, and I was looking for an alternative to leather. I'd stopped eating meat and stopped consuming dairy, and I really wanted to find an alternative that wasn't plastic. An alternative that wasn't recycled plastic or something. I just really wanted to find something that was eco-friendly. And something that came from the earth and that can go back to the earth. So I saw some people carrying some big some clothes and stuff in some big leaves, and the rest is history.
So when I read about the company, first of all, I don't eat meat myself, and I quit a long time. When I read about it, and you literally describe it as fallen leaves, and I thought, how did that come about? And one thing I'm seeing with you especially is, and I pictured that, how did you have that aha moment? Well, one, not eating meat, etc. But you looked around you, right? You're perceptive. You're highly perceptive. More than we'll get into this program, but very perceptive. And you saw people carrying bags of leaves, and you went, those were going to go into the trash. They could possibly become something, just like the guy walking in saying, will you listen to my song? And you went, I can't do it. You put like things together, but because you look up and out, because you engage with the world, because you're not looking at yourself and just saying, it's all about me, what can I do? You're looking out and allowing the world to show you its resources, allowing yourself to see the possibility in things that a lot of people don't see possibility in. And that's, I think, not just where innovation happens, but human connection happens. And, that's the profitability that I really see is, that's brilliant. That's beautiful. I wanted you to bring that up too, because again, when I read that fallen leaves, I couldn't believe that. I just, I'm so 100% on board. You created, in my book, I wrote down, so you just created my passion project. You created one of mine, which is amazing, which is so amazing. I love it. And then the fit as well, which is what you want to offer as well as an offering as well. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, for sure. just touching on the point of listening, I think opportunity comes along. They call it the law of attraction. If you look at it as as modern day science, but even purple cow effect, or whatever you want to call it. If you have something in the back of your mind and you allow yourself to be susceptible to things around you, you'll naturally start to spot opportunities. Those that say there are no opportunities for me, or it's been difficult for me, or whatever, I get it. I was there. I also didn't have those opportunities, but I got into places where opportunities, I could overhear a conversation in a cafe or overhear a conversation in a restaurant and get talking to somebody and not be scared to have that conversation and meet great people. And just by doing that small thing, having random conversations with people, I have billionaire friends who are at, front page of Forbes, super successful, who I can call my brothers to this day, because of integrity and not trying to wipe them, offer them a million deals or whatever just because they are where they are. And I have people that are still starting off in life who I can also call brothers because they are who they are as people, not just because of their, where they are. Fit.live. Fit.live. Where are we? Yeah, I've circled back to streaming, where I started. Fit.live is essentially a live stream fitness company to help people mingle with other people who are focused on being healthy and happy. It is not a place where you can go to get ripped and look like the front page of Men's Health or Women's Health. It is a place where you go to feel good. It's a wellness platform. And it's a community. And that's Fit.live. Very, very, very passionate about this again, because again, it creates invisible impact. You can actually, this is a really interesting theory. You can actually make a 6-year-old smile somewhere by having a yoga class with the mom who was having a bad day, who got some great energy from a yoga teacher who wants to give back. And by creating that platform and facilitating that, you create an indirect ripple to somebody who you may never have met. So, if you go really deep into it, the reason for this platform is to help people find self-love, help people become happier, help people practice a more spiritual life, and help people just live a better life. And again, none of us know our end date. If you knew your end date, suddenly your value of time would become completely different. But nobody knows their end date. And what we're essentially doing is saying, if you live a slightly healthier life, your end date might increase by a couple of days. It's invisible. We don't know the impact we've had, but we've had some sort of good impact by helping you live a little bit more of an active life. So that's Fit.live.
And I think active, and I think I always say profit in, profit out, right? Fit.live, it also looks like Fit.live, right? Is you're living from the inside out. I mean, like you said, you can go and let's get, I honor that, but you can also be unhappy out inside and be ripped on the outside. And I 100%, I say that all the time as well. The ripple effect that you have in life, you have one no matter what you do. Choose wisely. And I love that you've created that, because it's true. When you, it's not a place for you to get ripped. It's a place for you to come. One, I think also know community. I would say, right? Because there's other people on there. So you're not alone. You have community, which is so important, because sometimes you can feel alone. And AJ, when I will tell you, if you feel alone, you're not alone. We're here. We are here. You're not alone. I don't know what country you're in, but even the most remote parts, you're not alone. We care about you. And I think Fit.live is great. I get emotional with this kind of stuff. I'm sorry. But Fit.live really, like Fit.live, I see that too, is that from the inside out, and creating that community and having that ripple effect and building that tribe around you. And like you said, what you do outward will impact, and what you're doing outward with Fit.live is really ensuring that other people have the life that they want from the inside out. And then it just, spreads across the world. So, and that's really, like I said, everyone makes an impact, and you ripple effect. Choose wisely what you want that ripple to look like, because you may not see it, but it's happening. So I love that. Whoever's watching, thank you for taking the time for you, because again, like you said, time, you have so many things that you can do in this life. So many things that you can choose to do. You have a choice. And taking the time to listen to somebody else, to receive, if you have had moments also you've gone, wow, I'm really maybe not the leader I thought I was, that's okay too. Because you know what? You brought a blind spot up here, and that's taking out ego and putting it right here and going, now I have a choice of what I do with that. So, and that's powerful. So if you've done that, congratulations on doing that, because that's power. I'm grateful for everyone for being here, taking your time for you, for everyone else. And as AJ mentioned prior, and it's interesting because we're so aligned in so many things in such a short amount of time. I say this after every guest is, as a leader and as a person on this earth, share this summit outward. And you're not in this alone. And our goal really for each guest is it could be that person in that remote country that doesn't think they have any opportunity, or their government doesn't say this, you're a female, you can't do this, or you have someone who, like you said, doesn't have body function and is like, I can't. It doesn't matter. Share, because what this is this is in service of people having their lives, not just money, right? So it's the whole thing. And you're only as great as the positive impact that you make in this world. And to his point, your ripple effect. You'll never know where you will end up sharing this, but whatever you imagine, it'll get there. So share it out, be in service of others, be that leader that's different than the majority in a lot of the world. Be that different, stay true to you. If you ever question it, just remember this, go back and watch it. And we believe in you. So thank you for spending the time. And thanks again, AJ, for being vulnerable, authentic, and fearless love. I love it. And I can't wait for more. So thanks.